Hello everybody. Today we are going to be going over the new way of doing the coordinated entry system process that was sent out in an email. I know everybody's kind of a little nervous about it, but I just want to go ahead and do a training video just for those who are more visual learners, just so that you have it on hand just in case you need to kind of have a follow through of making sure that you're doing everything correctly. I promise you this is a very, very easy thing to do. Do not fret about it. Like I said, we're going to be having a lot of new updates as time progresses leading up to April of 2020. So these are going to be very minor changes that we're going to roll out gradually. So this way we're saving everybody time and that we're not pulling everybody in for a very large conference or training, and we're not going to be doing this multiple times. So just understand that we're doing it gradually. These are very minor changes, but we know that y'all are HMIS experts and that y'all can handle this, okay? So let's go ahead and let's kind of walk through this new coordinated entry system. So right now I'm shadowing Ashley Garrett. She is one of our front runners of helping us be a guinea pig for this new coordinated entry system. She has already been assigned the mock provider. So remember, you're not going to be able to do this if you do not have the mock coordinated entry system provider assigned to you yet. Remember, you have to email me saying, okay, I'm ready to do this. All right, so this is how we're going to do this. Same old hat that we are used to. So we're going to click on Client Point, and I'm going to search for Helen Test. All right. I'm going to search for her. I'm going to find her profile, make sure that this is her. And as always, if she has multiple profiles, you're going to send me an email, and you're going to let me know so I can merge those profiles together. All right, so I'm going to go ahead and backdate this. So let's say that we spoke to Helen on May 1st, and we'll set a new backdate. All right. Now, as always, we have to have a release of information. We will not be able to share information with providers moving forward if a client does not have an active ROI. There are going to be some changes to the release of information coming up in the next couple of weeks, but we will get there as soon as possible. It's nothing going to be major, so don't fret just yet. Okay, so I'm going to add a release of information. So what I'm going to do is you can just leave it at your provider, but you can also choose the mock CES. Some people will do this if they have like a call center and they're trying to just get people in. It's okay if you want to put the ROI at mock CES. Okay, so that's what I'm going to go ahead and do. And what we're going to do, as we see that Helen had an old household member here, if Brian Test was still attached to her household, we would just go ahead and click on all of the household members, and that ROI would be good for all of the members of the household. So let's say that she said, yes, you can share my information. Remember, if a client says, no, you cannot share my information, we need to remind them that that's going to be a hindrance to them because we cannot share that they're in need of housing. So please make sure you're explaining that fully to your clients. So I'm going to go ahead and put this for 1 year. This is something that's coming down the pipeline that we are going to be switching to a 3-year release of information. We have to wait on policies and procedures and everything. So until it is put out there that we are moving to a 3-year release of information, please still do a 1 year. Now, documentation, as always, would be a signed generic consent form, but if you do have an over-the-phone call for housing assistance, you can do a verbal consent, but if you do a verbal consent, you will need to put yourself as the witness. Okay? If we do not have a witness for the verbal consent, we will not accept it. So I'm going to hit Save Release of Information. And then I'm going to come over to Add Entry Exit, just like we all are used to doing an entry exit. So what we will do here once again, if if Brian was still attached to Helen's household, we would check all household members. So this way, if we see people who are going to be picking up families, they will know exactly who's in the household, the ages of the children, so on and so forth. This is why it's very important at this point in time that you need to make sure that the household is currently what is going on for that client. So if, like in this case, if Brian was still attached but no longer with Helen, we would need to go ahead and remove him from the household. If other people have joined the household, we would need to add them to give the other projects a clear view of what's going on with the household, because we don't want people thinking, oh, this person's an individual, but it comes time for them to be pulled for housing services and they have 2 to 3 children that we have to worry about. So I'm going to choose the provider of mock CES. Now, I've had a few people ask me some really great questions about this. So with mock CES, you will do mock CES, an entry exit for that, and you will also do an entry exit for the program that you're serving your client under. So for example, if we have, like with Pilgrim's Inn, Ashley would do a mock CES entry exit, and then if she was taking Helen into her emergency shelter, she would do another entry for the particular program. So she would have 2 entries, okay? Now the only difference is that with Ashley, she would go through Shelter Point to do the shelter situation. All right, so type is going to be standard, and we're going to hit save and continue. Yes, we want to proceed. Now guys, everything here is going to be the exact same thing that you see when you're on the client profile, okay? Now one thing I wanted us to make very, very clear that we are doing for this is that for these questions, let's say that Helen already has county of current location already filled in. Don't automatically skip over that question. We need to verify that these people are still in those counties. So in this case, Helen is not in Allendale County. She's in York County. Okay? County from which she actually last came, we can say is Allendale. Okay, county of last permanent address, we're going to say Allendale. So once again, I'm changing the data to make sure it matches what's going on with the client currently. All right. Now, some of these questions I'm not going to go over because this is training that y'all already have received. If you have not done that VI SPDAT training, you can find, if you have done it, on that spreadsheet I sent out. If you haven't gone through the training to where I know that you've gone through all of the different VIs and the different assessment questions, you need to do that by the end of June, because we want to make sure that everybody has a very clear understanding about the questions and the different VI SPDATs. We are going to have some more changes coming up with coordinated entry. So once again, trying to do this gradually, doing this in baby steps. So please make sure those baby steps are done so you're not rushing at the last minute to get everything done. Okay. Now, guys, this information right here, case manager and client contact information. A lot of times people are leaving this blank, and this is not good because we're not able to get in touch with these clients and they're missing out on housing opportunities. So please make sure you're coming in here, you're filling out the information. Okay. Put down their information. Put down if they go visit their aunt a lot. Put down their aunt's number. If you're the case manager, you need to put down your information. If they have an email address, y'all, even though they may run out of minutes, they can still like go to the library or different agencies that have computers available to check their email addresses. So really encourage your clients, if they don't have an email address already set up, help them set up one, and there's different agencies that will help them set up an email address, especially our public libraries. We need to ask if we can contact these people. So we're going to say yes, and I'm going to save. So add as many contacts that you possibly can in this section, because this is not only going to help the client, but also help our other providers later on down the road. Okay. We're going to skip the prioritization documentation for right now, the housing documentation. So once again, I'm changing information to match what is currently going on with my client. All right. Now, I'm not going to go over all this information because it's basically the same stuff that you've already seen before in different assessments. Housing status, continuum of care. Guys, this continuum of care one is also another big one because we want to make sure that all of our clients are pulling into the correct report. Are you willing to relocate? Are you willing to have a roommate? Those are very important questions that we want to ask our clients because let's say that Ashley's going over the list and there's a person in Columbia that's next on the list. Well, if we don't have that answered, Ashley may not be able to take her if, she says that she doesn't want to be relocated. Okay. Veteran information, same thing. You're going to fill out the information to kind of go over how long the person was in service, what conflict they were in, their discharge status, and their military branch. We want to make sure that we're putting in the information that's being presented by the client, but we are working with the VA and other veteran support programs to help us verify if this information is correct or not, because there are some programs that can only help veterans who have specific eligibility. So if a client has a VA medical card, a DD-214, of course you can go ahead and verify that yourself. But we might, if you don't have it verified, just put not verified, and we will get with our VA friends and they can help us verify it from their computers. Okay. All right, got your domestic violence questions. All right. Guys, let's go back to the domestic violence. So domestic violence can be anything from stalking, dating violence. This could be sex trafficking. All that falls under the category of domestic violence. Okay. Now, with the next three things, this is going to be our sections where we have our VI SPDATs. So once again, we're looking at which one most closely works with our client. So for example, our client is 19 years old. Well, the best of these three choices for this client is going to be the youth VI SPDAT. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to look at the VI and I'm going to say, all right, this one's expired. So I definitely need to do another VI on this person. For those who forgot, you have to do a VI every 6 months for them to be eligible for services for housing. So please make sure that we are updating these as soon as possible for the clients. Like I said, once again, doing a VI that most closely identifies with the person's situation, because there are specific questions that go along with that pertain more for a youth, more pertain to a family. So you want to make sure you're doing that VI correctly. When we also look at the VIs, is that if you're noticing that a client, let's say, has a 5, but recently a client became pregnant, well, that's a big life change. So as a professional, not just to get a client moved up on the list, but to actually say, this does not accurately reflect what's going on because they've had a major life change, you do not have to wait that 6 months. But once again, using your best professional judgment to say, this is a major life change, so I need to do another VI on the client. Okay? All right, this VI is just for historical purposes, but also since Helen is 19, I am going to answer these additional youth questions for her at the same time. All right, I'm not going to go over those because those are old hat. We're not going to have to worry about that. So I'm going to hit save and exit. No, I don't want to answer those questions. So as you see, there's an entry exit for mock CES. So this lets us know that right here, this is when the client came into our coordinated entry system process. If they do not have an exit date, that is an indicator that they are still in need of housing. So especially if you're a permanent supportive housing program or rapid rehousing, and you say, oh, this person doesn't have an exit date, but I know that they're housed, you need to contact Kathy and let her know. Let her know the date the client moved into their residency, what type of residency it is, so that we can go ahead and close that person out so they're not going to show up on our report later on down the road. Okay? All right. So what I'm going to do here is I'm going to go ahead and exit out of backdate mode. Now, talking about our clients who are agencies who are the ones picking up clients for services, you're still going to work out of that same entry exit, okay? So I'm going to go to client point. I'm going to search for Helen Test again. I'm going to use current system date. I'm going to actually click on entry exit because I want to get to this little button right here. I want to click on interims, and I'm going to add an interim review, and you can just put an update. All right. So I'm going to save and continue. All right. So what will happen is that you will actually have an assessment that populates right here. So once you get to this step, you're going to fill in that prioritization documentation that we're all used to doing. So if you contact them and they're not eligible, you need to put that information into the interim review section. If you're contacting them and you can't find them, you go and you do an interim update to show this is the date right here that I try to reach out to that client. This is going to be good indications if you get audited for coordinated entry to say, this is when I did it, and you have all of your documentation right then and there. Okay? All right. Like I said, once a client is housed, we are going to exit them from the program. We're going to come in here and say that they completed program. And let's say that we're sending them off to a rental by client with rapid rehousing subsidies. So I'm going to save and continue. And all you have to do is exit out. And we see right here that there is an exit date there, and we are done. This is an easy way for us to grab reports to show how long it took to get the client into housing. Like I said, there's going to be more steps to coordinated entry, so we need to go ahead and get this down pat first. Because as these new things start rolling out, probably toward October, we want to go ahead and be prepared and ready to go so we're not all scrambling at the last minute. Okay? So that's a quick little easy video for y'all to watch on how to do the new coordinated entry system. Please do not hesitate if you have questions about it. And like I said, if you're ready to go ahead and roll this out and go ahead and get started, I know I've already got Salvation Army who's ready, Pilgrims Inn, Housing Development Corporation, Women's Shelter. So they're all ready to rock and roll, and we want to add more people to that list. Okay? Because remember, everybody has a hand in coordinated entry. So after you've watched this video and you're ready to rock and roll with this new system, please go ahead and shoot me an email, and I'll be more than happy to go ahead and give you access to that provider. Okay? Well, I hope that helps everybody, and if you have any questions, please let me know. Have a great day.